Someone once told me, people who keep you from advancing is a pandemic. As I talk to you today, this will be an important message relating to one incredible woman. And my intention for you all is to realize the influences women in leadership, and specifically women in aerospace engineering roles, can shape the future. Growing up, I struggled with being a follower, and I didn't understand the importance of being a leader. As generations continue, I believe it's important to be aware that many African American females don't see their physical representation in higher status positions. Believing one is intellectually smart and capable of daring to dream is a message all little Black girls need to see. Today, I'll be discussing with you about Dorothy Vaughan. One, as an incredible mathematician. Two, as an African American woman fighting through discrimination. And three, as her accomplishments symbolize Dr. King's dream. So diving into Dorothy Vaughn's excellence, we must bring ourselves back into the 1940s and 50s, where technology wasn't as advanced as it is today. Dorothy Vaughan was a brilliant, skilled mathematician and human computer. Now, some of you may question, what is a human computer? Keep in mind, at the time in the 1940s and 50s, there wasn't computers to calculate what is called trajectory computations. A human computer, as shown in the picture here, would have to take on this role. This requires one to have precision, speed, and accuracy in their handwritten calculations. With the brilliance of Dorothy Vaughan as a mathematician, she was able to land an incredible job as head of the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics, NASA, in the West Computing area. In Dorothy Vaughan's supervisor role, according to NASA, she was responsible in hiring additional human computers to work on projects such as compiling a handbook or algebraic methods for calculating machines. Therefore, without these calculations, the rocket wouldn't have been able to launch to the moon or even put a human into space. And at the time, this had never been done before. Proudly, Dorothy Vaughan upheld this supervisor role for 28 years, and her work does not go unnoticed. NASA was grateful that her determination and management skills led her to learn a new calculating tool. This new calculating tool brought in by NASA is a non-human computer, and according to the book Hidden Figures, it was called an IBM 7090 with 24,000 calculations per second, which is obviously way faster than any human can compute. In other words, the new program would replace the human computers at NASA. As a great manager, Dorothy Vaughan took on this new computer and its complex language called Fortran fluently. NASA says that she was an expert Fortran programmer, and this is the Fortran statement here. In this way, her and other women wouldn't lose their job due to this new mathematic machine, and this is a mathematic machine displayed here. So, just as any accomplished pioneer would, similarly, African-American women like Dorothy Vaughan worked in a competitive arena to become the trailblazers or the trendsetters of today. Dorothy Vaughan is not only an accomplished mathematician, but she became the first African-American and one of the few female supervisors to work at NASA. Furthermore, being the first in her era was extremely difficult. During the 1950s and 60s was an era and a time of segregation. And many African Americans, like Dorothy Vaughan, faced hardships against their own race and gender. During this time, you may be aware of the Jim Crow laws that were still around and a significant barrier for many people of color trying to endure. These laws, according to nationalparks.gov, enforced segregation, forbade intermarriage, and ordered business owners and public institutions to keep their Black and white clientele separated. Therefore, everything was separate but equal. This is why her role was specifically in the West Computing area. According to Morris, a Journal of African American Studies, NASA had separate bathrooms for African Americans and people of color labeled colored, and for white Americans labeled white. This was common US culture, laws influencing white domination, and it made this extremely challenging for Dorothy Vaughan and people working under her to do their daily job. Just as Dorothy Vaughan once quoted, just because it's separate and equal doesn't make it right. Just as Dr. King once stated, I look forward to the day when people will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And overall, Vaughn's accomplishments symbolize Dr. King's dream and message. After many years, Vaughan was finally recognized and seen for her true character. Later, Vaughan was posthumously presented with the Congressional Gold Medal Award. Here is the people posthumously presenting this to her. So this came to the light after the book or the movie you may have heard of, Hidden Figures. And some of you may wonder, what is the big deal about the Congressional Gold Medal Award? And I'll tell you, from the historyhouse.gov, since American Revolution, Congress has commissioned gold medals as the highest expression of national appreciation for distinguished accomplishments and achievements made by individuals. So moreover, Vaughan paved a path for women in STEM and people in her career in today's society. So you may recognize people like Katherine Johnson, who won the Nobel Peace Prize, or Mary Jackson, who also received the Congressional Award. As a Black engineer writes that Katherine Johnson, she is forever grateful for her accomplishments, and she wouldn't have been able to endure the career she is in today. Opportunities like being a part of the STEM field stands for people in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Although they didn't have what is called STEM in the 1900s, according to macallister.edu, hidden computers like Dorothy Vaughan paved a path for women in the fields of STEM. In conclusion, Dorothy Vaughan was not only a smart mathematician recognized for her human-computer intellectual abilities, but she was an influential leader during her career and still to this day. Dorothy Vaughan is a reminder that we have a seat at the table regardless of our race and gender, age, etc. Don't let people keep you from advancing. Become a contagious disease. Remember the words of Dorothy Vaughan as she says, "I changed what I couldn't, and what I could, I endured."